Zoom user, if you could please add your name or, okay, Mr. Deep.
Meeting call to order.
Hello, everyone. A very good evening and a very, very happy new year all to every one of you here. This is our first meeting of the year 2024, and I am very, very happy to have you all here. Going ahead with the agenda for the meeting, I would first request President Rotarian Lal Goyal to please confirm the minutes of the meeting, which was last held on 17th December.
The minutes of the meeting of 17th December was circulated, and as we have not received any comments or any objection, it's presumed that you have already read and approved. So I confirm the minutes of the previous meeting held on 17th December 2023.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Lal Goyal. We are about to have a talk today by our fellow Rotarian, Mr. Sunil Gupta, but I don't see him around here right now. I'll just check on
he's
him.
going to join. Yeah, he's going to join from Sunnyvale, San Francisco, USA. I think the time there is at right now 6:30 a.m. But we have a guest today, Dr.
Yes.
Uday. Yes.
I will just go ahead. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Rotarian Dr. Rohan Monis has brought with us to us in this meeting. He's has a guest over here.
Yeah.
I would request Dr. Uday to please turn on his audio. We're not able to hear you. I realize you're not on mute. Could you please check your audio settings?
Can you speak, Dr. Uday? Dr. Uday, please speak.
I am not.
Uday, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh.
Yes, Dr. Uday. Please speak. Can you introduce yourself, Dr. Uday?
I don't think he's able to hear us.
He's not able to hear.
Actually, the thing is, did he accept the vocals? I mean, you need to accept a button.
Yeah, he would have used Zoom earlier.
Yeah,
probably this
right.
could be an easy module. Maybe
Right.
there's an issue, maybe something then. Can I take the liberty of introducing him, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Great.
I
Please
don't know
go
whether
ahead.
he can hear us.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Should I?
Just check on him. If you could just check on him once, that will
I'll
be
check
great.
on it. I'll check on it.
iPhone 4082, please, if you could just turn on your camera or maybe tell your name, that will be great. You can type your name in the chat also. iPhone 4082187009.
I think there is a problem with right now with Dr. Uday. So and Rotarian Sunil Gupta has not yet joined.
He's just joining actually. He
Achha,
sent
he's
me
there?
his profile as well. He's
Okay.
still to join. He's shared with me his profile. Okay,
Okay.
he's here. He's here. I have him here.
Okay.
Okay, but before that, Dr. Modis.
No, I just checked with him. I think he's going to change his device and log in again. I think we can do the introductory part a little later, if that's okay.
Sure. No problem.
Thank you, Rotarian Ritika. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Rotarian Sunil Gupta, I think he's connecting right now.
Yeah. He's just
Meanwhile, he's
I'll
joining,
read
yeah.
out his brief profile that I have with me.
Yeah, please do that.
Wow. Actually, it's a full resume that he's just shared with me. So I would request him to maybe just share a few words while he's just joining in.
No, I think he has joined. Rotarian Sunil Gupta, please switch on your video and unmute yourself. Please.
Yeah.
Please unmute. Please unmute. Rotarian Sunil Gupta, please unmute.
Yeah, please unmute. Take your time, no worries.
Hey
Yeah.
guys, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. A
Hey,
very, no problem at all.
I just want to say good morning to everybody. It's a little bit early in California. It's 6:30 a.m. and so sorry for kind of a rushed morning and getting my computer to boot. So, but I appreciate patience and time this morning.
Very good morning to you, Rotarian Sunil. We are very happy to have you. No problem at all. I just got your not a brief profile, it's a full resume, but I would request if maybe you could just start out with sharing a few words about yourself, and going forward, we can have the talk. After your briefing, I'll just share the topic that you're about to speak on.
Okay, sure, no worries. I appreciate again everybody joining and giving me this platform and opportunity. My name is Sunil Gupta. I'm a Rotarian charter member for the International Organ Donation Awareness Club. I admire everybody, joining in for this cause. A brief profile on me. I reside in California. I'm in the Silicon Valley. I've been here 43 years. I grew up in Indore, in India, and lived there for about 16 and a half years. I was completed my 11th grade, and I was all set to go into the National Defense Academy in India. And at that time, I got an opportunity to go to an international college in Canada, which I had desires to go into the Indian Foreign Service as well. So I went overseas and I studied international affairs in the early 80s. And then I got an opportunity to come to the United States for further studies. I went to Princeton University and studied electrical engineering, computer science, and then became a tech grad. Came to California and have been here ever since, working for companies like large companies. Like I've been with Intel for the last 23 years. And I started off in chip design. I have a few patents and technology. And then I basically switched into marketing and sales. Currently, I'm the executive director for the West for Intel, and I sell for the entire West for all of North and South America, going all the way to the tip of Chile and Argentina, from Alaska and Western Canada down to you can think about all the Western states of the United States. I am married to a wonderful lady from Fiji Islands. She's ethnically Indian, and she has roots from Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. And actually, she's part Telugu and part Tamil and part Keralite. So she's a mutt. She's a mix of South Indian ethnicity. And I've been married to her for over 22 years. And we have a lovely daughter. Her name is Simran, and she is a 21-year-old, college student in her senior year of university. She aspires to become a doctor. So that's my basic profile and history. I shared a picture. I didn't know from my phone, Ritika, if you want to flash that somehow.
I will just share. Okay, give me a moment. I'll do that in between. While maybe you could just share a little about your, medical profile that actually brought you here. Yeah.
I just wanted to everybody to kind of personalize. When we talk about,
I'll just share.
Yeah.
It's going to take me a while, but I will share it.
If you could, yes. I just wanted to kind of start off this conversation today to humanize and personalize our conversation. We talk about such an important topic as organ donation and awareness. I mean, it's such an important topic to save lives and do things for service to other people. But it's very hard to understand what impact does it have on people? And I think that's kind of topic of today's conversation, which as an organ recipient, I'll walk you through so you can understand, what impact does it have on actual lives of people who actually receive organs. So I hope that that's going to be an interesting use of your time this evening. I understand in India this is Sunday evening and it's an time for dinner. So no matter how early this is in the morning for Sunday mornings for me, I also appreciate you're taking time out from your family time with dinner and all that to attend this. Okay.
It's going to take me a while to actually extract that image because
Why not you make Rotarian
yeah,
Sunil
you can
Gupta
share your
co-host?
screen.
You
Yes.
just make him as co-host so he can
You'll be able
share.
to share
It's
the
on
screen actually.
my
You can
phone and
you can
well,
flash it from your phone. If okay, maybe I can do that. Oh,
yeah, just it'll take. Okay, here we go.
I have a
No,
background
no.
image on. You would be able to do it better. I have a background image on, so it won't flash from my
No,
phone.
I have to send it to myself on let
Oh,
me
I'm
share.
so sorry. Okay, let me just figure out. It's
Okay,
just
hold
that
on.
it's not on my
See,
home.
just on share content, there is a key you have to press, Ritika, and then you can go for the photograph section. Just save this photograph in your album and then you can share it.
Actually, it's not on my desktop right now. That's the issue.
Okay, that same here. I have on my phone, not on the.
I have
Okay,
turned
I
on
will
the
try.
WhatsApp, but it's taking time to download messages. It'll just happen in a brief moment. So just bear with it. Me.
Dr. Uday, can you hear us? No, you have to unmute. You have to unmute.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay. Meanwhile, Ritika, can we utilize
Please go ahead.
introducing?
Yeah.
Yes.
So please introduce your guest, Dr. Uday,
Yes.
to Dr. Rohan Monas.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, dear Rotarians. This is a friend of mine, Dr. Uday Hiremani. Dr. Uday Hiremani actually hails from Gadag district, and I had met him almost about 8 years back at Mangalore. That time he was a pharmacist. Post being a pharmacist, he has completed his bachelor's in homeopathy medical sciences, and he's attained his degree, and he's worked in various centers. He is a very avid person in Bangalore right now, doing a lot of healthcare camps across the places in Karnataka. And presently, he is running and managing Shraddha Nursing Home from 2018. So that center presently he runs it. He has rented up the premises and is doing an amazing job. Basically, it's on mother and child health care, and he's doing this kind of services right now in Bangalore. And welcome on board, Dr. Uday. And this is our team. We have our president, Rotarian Mr. Lal Goel, and we have our secretary, Rotarian Ritika, and we have all the team members here with us today. Hope you
welcome, Dr. Uday.
Thank you, sir.
We will hear from you, Dr. Uday, after we will listen from our guest, that is Rotarian Sunil Gupta. We will also like to hear from you something. Yes, I think, can you see now the photograph?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, so I have done it. Ritika, you can see it. I already shared it now.
Okay.
Okay. Yes,
All right.
Rotarian Sunil Gupta, now I have done it.
All right, and I appreciate your
because I'm not a tech person like you all, but still I succeeded. Anyway, please go ahead.
Yeah, usually I'm very good with things. Again, I apologize for the last minute rush. I got my computer fired up and send these things, to Ritika and Rotarian Lago early this morning, like 5 minutes before the meeting. So sorry for the rush. Anyways, as you can see, from the picture, that's me on the left, that's my daughter in the middle, and that's my wife on the right. And I wanted to kind of humanize and personalize this conversation to understand, when actually I needed an organ to extend my life, that was 12 years ago. And I'll walk you through a brief history. As I said, I gave you a professional profile and how I grew up, and I have moved to the United States and North America and stayed here. I wanted to start with like a little bit of a medical profile. The reason I needed an extension of life for myself was nothing related to my life. It had to do with genetics. Also, part of my professional journey, I'm also very interested in the medical sciences and saving lives. I hail from a family that my grandfather was a doctor, um, and he was educated in the British times, I guess, before independence, and he had studied at King George Medical College, and he was one of the first pioneers, from a medical service and practice standpoint. I do remember for the last 5 years of his life, he practiced social medicine. He did not charge any money at all for the work he did, and he would have a dispensary and dispense medication for free for service. So I hail from a family of doctors. After that, lots of doctors in our extended family. But as I say to folks, you cannot run from genetics. So my grandmother had a condition called polycystic kidneys. It's a genetic condition where part of the kidneys become cystic and they lose function over time. And this hits an individual in their fourth or fifth decade of life. And that is something that my father inherited, and my father succumbed to the condition eventually, but he also needed a transplant in the 1980s. So we are a family that has a history of transplantation and kidney disease for 3 generations. In my living in the Silicon Valley and my community practice, since I went through a kidney transplant at Stanford University in Palo Alto in California, I'm also part of Northern California Kidney Foundation as an advocate, and I get invited to give a seminar lecture on the polycystic kidney disease and living with the transplant to incoming medical students at the Stanford University Medical College. And I begin that talk with saying, medical science has not evolved to an extent where you can run from genetics. So genetics has a very, very important play in, and I know the other Rotarian from a homeopathy standpoint, and a lot of very well-known people on this call would attest, all of the holistic living and in how we are a manifestation of our genetics and phonetics all together that makes us whole. So it started off with my grandmother, and very, very sorry to say, when I talked to my elders and my father about her condition manifested in terms of failing kidneys. She died at the age of 58 in India, and at the time there was no cure, there was no dialysis, there was no transplantation, and she had to basically, when start to face, kidney is a very smart organ. It has very many functions besides filtration of your blood. It also controls, your blood pressure, and so it's a multi-function organ. And she would apparently tie a handkerchief very, very head to get away and try to get relief from headaches that she would get from blood pressure. Anyways, that was my grandmother's generation. My father's generation, his kidneys declined at the age of 52, and he needed a transplant. He was very, very fortunate. His dear sister, my buaji, stepped up and was a donor for a kidney to him in 1982. And his transplant, India was still starting, and at the time, very limited transplantation was going on in large cities like Mumbai, and perhaps Bangalore, or actually, I take it back. It was Chennai. It was Bangalore was one of the first centers for transplantation in India. But there were people had to have massive resources, and also they were looking for something called kidney matches or tissue matching, and the state of transplantation medication to sustain the success of a transplant was very limited in terms of experience. Most of the doctors in India trying to perform that were all trained overseas. And so my father was very fortunate to get the ability to go to New York and get that transplant done. We have family in America. As I said, I was in Canada at the time studying, and I was able to come and be on his side while this surgery was going on. And at the time, it was very extensive. The surgical techniques were fairly archaic. I remember my buaji, my aunt, have a huge cut in the side of her abdomen and the back to extract her kidney. And I could figure out, that was a very painful process for donors at the time because of the large incision and surgery. And I remember talking to the surgeon at the time. He said, "Son, you will never have to worry about these things because in 20, 25 years, we'll have cures for all these things." And that was in 1982. And here we are, we're talking 2024, and I've been through a transplant. So, our human body is such a perfect evolution over, millions of years that medical science, even though it is making, progress in leaps and bounds, it takes years to go put in practice. And I know the state of organ donation worldwide, the technology is progressing, and I know a lot of us in this particular organization trying to create awareness, trying to share this. Also, think about from a technological angle how lives could be saved, and how this technology of transplantation can get further. So my particular focus, of course, having lived through this disease and having gotten this precious gift of life of a kidney transplant, and I just wanted to tell you up front, my gift of life came from my dear wife on the right here in the picture. Regina stepped up 12 years ago and volunteered to donate her kidney to me. It was not a given since, obviously she's not related to me biologically. So, the tissue typing match was 0 out of 6. There's HLA markers that people look at, and I'll walk you through the transplantation process. I'm not a doctor, but, I know enough for multi-generations going through this that I can talk fairly intelligently about, this process. I'll pause right now. I hope I'm not, overly boring folks, but I want to make this interactive. So if anybody has questions while I'm speaking, please, raise your hand or just speak up through your microphone and ask the question. All right.
So, Rotarian Sunil Gupta, I wanted to just ask you, have you just started off with our talk already, or this was a part of your medical profile?
Oh, I apologize. I was not distinguishing between
the two, but you're already in your topic. I will just take a moment to maybe introduce your topic to everyone, and you can continue with your talk.
Sure.
So now you know the detailed profile of Rotarian Sunil Gupta as to why he's sharing what he is with us. And the talk that he's giving us today is on giving information on the importance and challenges experienced by a living kidney transplant recipient from SFO. So this is the thing that Rotarian Sunil Gupta is sharing with us, his challenges as a organ recipient. If you could please go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Get it.
So at
And
what age, I would like to ask a question. At what
Sure.
age is it that you actually came across the fact that you have a issue with your kidney?
So since I had that genetic disposition of polycystic kidneys, I got diagnosed very early on at the age of 32. as I was in high technology and working with computers and technology for long hours, I started getting, stress headaches. And I would quickly went to a doctor and said, hey, you have high blood pressure. Do you have any family history? And of course, when the family history came out, they did a quick ultrasound sonography at the time they used to call it, and they found there are cysts in my kidney. So I was diagnosed with polycystic kidneys at the age of 32. Those cysts are very, very tiny and minuscule, and they grow over time. There's nothing that can be done to stop that right now, currently, in terms of the technology. There's no drugs, there's no cure. And by the time I hit my late 40s, so a span of 15 years, the kidney function had declined so much, and my kidneys had become the size of, you see the American football, like it's like a rugby football thingy. That's how big the kidney becomes. A normal kidney is about 12 centimeters, so it's like a big
Size of
bean.
bean.
And when you have cysts and things like that, and almost like tumors inside, they are they are benign. They're not malignant, so they become size of like this much, like a American football. Okay. So by that time, I needed somehow either to go on dialysis or get a transplantation. So great question, Roter and Ritika. Again, as I said, before I talk to you about my personal condition, my father went through the same thing, and he suffered a lot more challenges because, the state of dialysis was very, very raw at the time as well. So he would do hemodialysis in India, and, when he went to the United States, his transplantation was a large surgery, and he stayed in the hospital for 30 days at the time. Because it's not as much, I know this entire program that we have is to try to get people to get donation of organ, the awareness of how important it is to donate one's organs while we pass on to the next life, is important to do that because we can share 6, 7, 8 lives while that happens. But the most important part is that's just the start of the transplantation journey. And that's if I can impact one thing, the message on this conversation and talk is it's a journey. And the real journey starts after that surgery, after that transplant happens, and what happens after that. Those are the challenges and conversations that we talk. We focus on just saving lives to the point of when we have that successful transplant. And what makes it a success beyond that is an entire technology of immunity, is an entire technology of making that organ or skin or cornea or heart or lungs or pancreas, any of the organs that we talk about, and the technology is even going further than that. People are looking at limbs and other things to make it work in a foreign person's body, right? Think about from a graft that my wife gave. She was not related. I mean, it's amazing technology. If you look at the picture that you cut out organ from a living human being and transplant that to another body and making it work. That's the beauty of the technology. And as this picture was taken, about 3 months ago at a wedding in Washington State. So, we are nicely dressed here, but imagine getting an organ from one person to the other. And this is very, very fortunate. This is a living human donation, living donor. And I know my wife, Regina, maybe on a future talk can talk about her perspective of what it meant for her to be able to donate a part of her body to me to save my life, even though, yes, you can say husband, wife. I truly at parties and among friends, I joke about this, that my spouse, my wife is truly a part of me. Literally she is, because, her organ is what is keeping me going inside me. So we are bound for janam and janam and, seven lives together. But did not know, to me, truly, I mean, I shouldn't say this. I mean, of course, I love her dearly, but she's an angel. and a savior for me. I see the true Shakti of what love can do, and there's a lot more organ donations that happen between a wife or a female member stepping up than men. And I've wondered why that is the case. And that is a topic maybe somebody else can take on another day, right? Rotarian Lago, you probably saw that statistics that a lot more women are willing to donate than men. But anyway, coming back to my own profile, I continued to work through, and I was very, very fortunate because of, Regina stepped up. One of the things that I remembered from my father's generation, my Buaji, who donated, she's still alive, she's still doing well. So even with a living donation, you can have a very, very normal life for a donor. God has given us 2 kidneys, as one is fully a spare. Among organs, kidney is the only one organ that does not regenerate itself. That's why we have 2. But she's still living, and she lives in Jabalpur, India right now. To old age, I believe she's 89 or 90 years old. My father eventually died after 25 years after the transplant, at the age of 75. But that extension he got was very extremely valuable, and we are very, very grateful as a family. So, having said that, I remember a quote that resonates in my head, and I wonder, I can't quite attribute to who said that. But if you look at human beings in terms of communication, among 1,000 people can be a good writer. And one among 10,000 people can be a good orator. But it takes 1 in a million that can actually donate an organ while you're living. Okay, so that's the power, and that's the point we're talking about. I know a lot of you guys are motivated. When I talk to Rotarian Lal Goyal, I mean, he's passionate about organ donation and about saving lives. And after you hear from me, I mean, I guess, or say a donor, you realize what it goes into saving lives. And of course, the doctors and the technicians and the nurses and the medical staff that is related to this cause is doing an immense service to humanity. Anyway, bringing it back to me, I'll again pause for any questions. But let me quickly get into what happened once my kidneys failed and in the process of transplantation. I guess that may be interesting to a few folks. Being in the United States, of course, I was very, very fortunate to be at the forefront of technology. I mean, Stanford University is a leading teaching hospital, has a leading transplantation program. They pretty much do all kinds of transplantations, from hearts to lungs to pancreases to now they're looking at intestines, they're looking at kidneys, skin, eyes, of course. And so very, very fortunate to live about 20 minutes away. So that was my first statement, like I know this particular organization is doing so much more to try to get the infrastructure going. The infrastructure, the laws are so important. India being the size of 1.5 billion people, I know there are very, very strict laws. There's trafficking and other things that can go on when you have inequality of economics and things like that. So this is very, very multifaceted type of a field. It's not just technological or medical related. It's political. It's social. There's a lot of aspects of transplantation. So go ahead.
Yeah, Rotarian Sunil Gupta, thank you very much for giving so much details about your personal experience, which मैं सोचता हूँ मैं थोड़ा हिंदी भी बोलूं क्योंकि कुछ members चाहते हैं हिंदी में, and I know that you also understand Hindi well. तो जो आपने बताया, बहुत अच्छी बातें बताई, क्या क्या चैलेंजेस थे, और आपकी जो किडनी की प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि जो इंडिया में जनरली किडनी प्रॉब्लम हम देखते हैं वो ज्यादातर लाइफस्टाइल की वजह से होती है, बट बीइंग ए जेनेटिक प्रॉब्लम जो विच इज नॉट इन योर हैंड, जो आपके हाथ में नहीं था, लेकिन उसके बाद भी आपने बताया कि किस तरह किडनी को ट्रांसप्लांट हुई, एंड योर वाइफ वाज जेनरस, एंड आई एम हैप्पी टू इन्फॉर्म ऑल्दो अवर मेंबर्स को पता भी है कि रोटेरियन रेजिना इज अवर ऑनरेरी मेंबर, क्योंकि हमने डिसाइड किया है पहली मीटिंग में कि जो भी डोनर्स हैं, लिविंग डोनर्स, उन्हें हम बना रहे हैं। तो हमारे पे ऑलरेडी वी हैव 3 डोनर्स, दोज हु आर विथ अस, जो ऑनरेरी मेंबर्स हैं। एक ऑनरेरी मेंबर हमारे रोटेरियन प्रमोद महाजन हैं, एक ऑनरेरी मेंबर रोटेरियन रूपा अरोड़ा हैं, और एक रोटेरियन रेजिना गुप्ता हैं। मेरा जो प्रश्न है वो आपसे ये है, कितना टाइम लगा परमिशन मिलने में, because it's a in one way non-related, as you said, because she's your wife, not a blood relation. कितना टाइम लगा आपको परमिशन मिलने में from the government authorities for transplantation?
Right. So यहाँ पर जो रूल है वो यहाँ पर even friends and family and extended people can step up and donate their organs. भाई इंडिया में it's hard, they crack down, वहाँ पर सिर्फ close relatives are allowed, right? So I know that law well because as you know, we have extended family on both sides of the continent. We are becoming a global community, and global global citizens here, all of us. तो जो laws हैं काफी different है every country के. United States, and I apologize, I'm a fluent Hindi speaker and I grew up as Hindi being my first language. लेकिन क्या होता है कि just continuously talking in one language here, जो thinking process है थोड़ा change हो जाता है. तो मैं हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों मिलके bilingual बोलूं तो it's okay, right? So America में there are strict psychological profiling that goes on. यहाँ पर भी क्या होता है, जैसे United States has borders with countries like Mexico, and South America and Central America, and there are plenty of, I'm sure you look at news, plenty of like illegal immigrants coming and things like that. So यहाँ पर भी there's a huge possibility of trafficking, where people can go pay money to somebody in Mexico or somebody overseas and bring them in as like, hey, ये तो हमारा दोस्त है, friend है, and this friend wants to go donate to us. So basically the question arises, how do you stop that? So what they do is they do immense social profiling, and I'm coming back to your question and how long it took. So यहाँ पर the transplantation is left to the private hospitals and universities. That most of the universities, the teaching, the top universities that come to mind in America, whether it's a Harvard or Stanford or MIT or the technological institutes that are pushing research, they're mostly private. Okay, now that does not mean that they can operate without legal, against the legal authority or laws. But यहाँ पर एक तो यहाँ का legal system बहुत strong है, और यहाँ lawsuits बहुत होते हैं, right? So the doctors वगैरह हैं, the medical staff and the hospitals are very, very, diligent about making sure they don't slip up on any of the legalities, because they're sued with a lot of financial risk. जो lawsuits होते हैं बहुत तगड़े होते हैं, right? Millions and millions of dollars का punitive damage होता है. So when I get, for the process is basically, once like my kidneys failed, my treating doctor at the time, my nephrologist, listed me for a transplant. So there's a national transplant registry list. So I get registered in the closest your transplant centers. And so basically luckily I'm 20 minutes away from Stanford, which is one of the leading, universities. It's a teaching hospital. So I got listed there. So usme extensive blood work and extensive testing hoti hai, because even to get a transplant, you have to be healthy, right? They go through a process of determination of, first of all, what's your age? Who needs a kidney more or who needs a transplant more? if there's an organ available. So there's a whole algorithm, an AI-based algorithm that does that, in terms of prioritization. So I had to go through a psychological profile. They wanted to see कि मेरी lifestyle तो ऐसी नहीं है कि मुझको एक organ मिले. और उस समय when I got listed for an organ donation, I did not know that my wife is going to volunteer and step up and donate her kidney to me. Right? यहाँ पर एक तो HIPAA laws बहुत strong है, which is privacy laws. So for the longest time, I did not even know that she was going through testing as a volunteer to give me the kidney, because had they broken the news to me prematurely, कि अरे ये तुम्हारी wife देने के लिए तैयार है, what if, she was not an ideal candidate, right? It would dash my hopes, really bad. So they keep this very, very tight in terms of, they call them the HIPAA laws of privacy. Only when I release my medical profile and information, that's given to whomever is looking for it. For example, like, मैं इस forum में openly अपने बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ about my medical condition and transplant. In America, you wouldn't believe, even my own nearest people that I work with professionally, company, they don't know that I've been through a transplant. And the reason being, that can help discriminate, that can help maybe my superior say, इसको तो कुछ medical condition है, इसको ये job मत दो, right? So that discriminates. So एक तो ये law बहुत अच्छा है. Medical HIPAA laws for medical information and medical records are kept very, very tight. Okay. So when I got listed for medical transplant, kidney transplantation, I got through a lot of workup as well. They wanted to make sure, whether I'm a suited candidate for a transplant. And why is that? Because somebody has to pay for a transplant surgery. It's not just in the MA, of course, you have insurance companies, insuring, medical procedures. यहाँ भी insurance is king. उसके बिना यहाँ के जो medical bills are so heavy. So not very many people can afford to pay for their own transplantation. I mean, it runs into $3 lakh, $3.5 lakh for a surgery, of that nature. So उसमें क्या होता है, the insurance company doesn't want to pay if I was purposely doing things like if I were taking drugs, if I were a heavy alcoholic or something like that, if I had other conditions, that would have actually barred me from receiving an organ. Because what value, I don't even value my own life, let alone a very, very precious organ becomes available, and there are a lot of people waiting for that organ, wanting to get that organ. Why should it come to somebody like me who I'm abusing myself and I don't care for my own life? So that is part of the profile process and selection process. But usme, it's not just the government deciding. It is insurance companies, because they have to, pay for it and authorize it. So there are a lot of checkpoints. And of course, the hospital, they have to make sure that they don't get sued. So they are very, very careful. So after you get listed, there's a minimum 6-month waiting time just to make sure that all of these things are worked up. And that, I know I'm talking, and I know I just read that you were able to help with some judicial process to speed up in India the approval time if somebody steps up to donate an organ. But I'm just telling you from a listing of a recipient that I need something. It takes the time to make sure that I'm the right candidate for transplant. Okay, if I were not, they would say go on dialysis, extend your life as long as you can, and good luck. And again, that does not quite apply to others, maybe lung or heart transplant, right? I mean, they have to look at your age, they have to look at your, right? Somebody has to play God here to decide who lives, who doesn't. Okay, and it's done through all of these sets of procedures and policies, and again, I'm not privy to all of that algorithm that goes on and happens. But in California, where I live, the waiting line for getting a cadaver transplant, I know that's not the right word to use, but to get a transplant from somebody who's brain dead is 10 years. So वो 10 सालों में डायलिसिस में आधे से ज्यादा लोग वैसे ही मर जाते हैं. तो यहाँ जो प्रॉब्लम हम लोग इंडिया में सॉल्व करने की ट्राई कर रहे हैं, वो प्रॉब्लम exists even here. So this awareness campaign, I'm actually very, very vocal in the community. I go for the kidney walks. We organize all kinds of things to raise awareness in the local community. Okay. So once that happened, and then Regina stepped up in the background, and then she went through a workup. So she went through a blood workup. They wanted to make sure she doesn't have high blood pressure. They wanted to make sure she doesn't have diabetes. They wanted to make sure she doesn't have any genetic condition. She doesn't have any cancer. And they just don't do it for the survival and well-being of the donor, but they also want to make sure यदि उस organ में यदि cancer cells हैं और वो आपने किसी recipient को लगा दी, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि after the transplant surgery is done, they pump your body with immune suppression drugs and steroids to help make the transplant successful. तो यदि कुछ भी infection लगता है या कोई cancer cells लग जाती हैं, तो those multiply, they just flare up crazy, and that actually kills the transplant. So the journey ends right there. That's why they're very, very careful. So the delay in the process is more for medical workup to make sure that the person who's donating is super healthy. Okay, because the transplant centers here.
Total time कितना लगा?
3 minutes.
When your wife decided to donate, after that 6 months?
No, 3 महीने उसके बाद.
3 months.
मैं बता रहा हूँ, I was listed for about 6 महीने, और तो उसमें क्या होता है कि हर 1.5 महीने बाद वो मेरा ब्लड खींचते थे, around 11 tubes from the and they would do what HLA matching जिसे कहते हैं, and to also they make sure कि आपको कोई ऐसी viruses नहीं है. What happens is, the struggle with transplantation, and again, as I said, this is going to be a very, very long conversation, and I know we're going to run out of time. So stop me when you how much time do I have?
Another 2-3 minutes.
Okay, so I'll wrap. उसमें क्या होता है, immunity comes into play. If you have very, very strong immunity, क्या होता है कि यदि आप foreign organ आपकी body में लगाएंगे, so आपकी body की immunity इतनी strong है, तो वो organ को reject कर देगी. It'll treat the organ as like a foreign infection or a foreign virus or a foreign bacteria and attack. The white blood cells will attack and kill it, whether it's the skin, whether it's the heart, whether it's the eyes, whatever, it doesn't matter. So immunity and immunity suppression is a technology that's very highly developed in the West. And also, I remember having a conversation with you, Rotarian Lal Goyal, that इंडिया में क्या है, इम्यूनिटी इसलिए ज्यादा आप लोगों की बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है. जैसे मैं इतने सालों के बाद, जैसे मैं इंडिया विजिट करने आता हूँ अपने फैमिली से मिलने या किसी वेडिंग के लिए या कुछ, आई ऑलवेज फॉल सिक विद इन फर्स्ट वीक, एंड पीपल मेक फन ऑफ मी कि तू तो बिल्कुल जो है फिरंगी बन गया. एंड दैट्स रियली द इशू इज नॉट. हाँ,
नहीं मैं कर लूंगा.
Please go ahead. Rotarian Divpal Sharma, please mute yourself.
हाँ, तो immunity के कारण होता है. तो आप लोगों की, like, when you're living in a condition where there's plenty of bacteria and plenty of viruses and all of that in the environment, your immunity stays strong. Or I learned this. I continue thinking. हम लोग जाते हैं मंदिर, हमको चरणामृत मिलता है, हम पी लेते हैं. हम मंदिर की जो स्टेप्स होती हैं उनको छू के अपने माथे पे लगाते हैं, और ढोक लगाते हैं. उसमें आपको जो फ्लोर है उससे आपको what is all these functionality. मैं सोचता था, after a transplant I realized, what it is आप कोई से भी गांव या कोई से भी शहर जाते हैं तो ये रिवाज होता था कि आप मंदिर जाते थे. So you actually get the group immunity from that area into you. या आप जैसे योगर्ट से बनता है ना चरणामृत, उसमें हनी होता है, उसमें पानी होता है वहाँ का, आप वो सब it's like a dose of immunity that you're taking. So if you get a transplant, you have to be very careful. I can get a dose of immunity if I come, because all of a sudden that new immunity thing, my immune system will actually start to create new antibodies, and those antibodies can end up rejecting the organ. So that is actually the challenge of the journey of living with a transplant, is you have to manage this every month to make sure don't get infections, stay clean, hygiene, very, very important, you know.
Okay.
That
Thank you
is
very much.
the main thing.
Thank
Anyway,
you very
I'm
much.
sorry, guys. You guys have given me so much time, and I know I've just been talking and talking.
No, rather it's we are short of time because we want to hear from you more and more. It's a really eye-opening for all of us कि कितना challenge है, लेकिन कितना एक pleasant है, क्योंकि because our body is a miracle. Organs are functioning 24/7 without fail. We are sleeping, but organs are functioning. So we have a miracle given by the God. और हम लोग उसको मिरेकल को हम लोग प्रॉपरली यूज नहीं करते, हम उसको जो ब्लेसिंग्स हैं गॉड के, और जो आपने बात कही कि मंदिर का, और बहुत सही बात है, इंडिया में इम्यूनिटी बहुत हाई है, दैट्स व्हाई हमारे यहाँ कोविड में जो परसेंटेज डेथ हुई है बहुत लेस हुई है इन कंपैरिजन टू अदर कंट्रीज. थैंक यू वेरी मच रोटेरियन सुनील गुप्ता. एक आध बार और भी इस साल हम आपके पास जरूर आना चाहेंगे, और इट्स ए गुड बिगिनिंग इन दिस ईयर ऑफ 2024. ओवर टू यू रोटेरियन रितिका गुप्ता.
Thank you very much, President Lal Goel. And also, thank you so much, Rotarian Sunil Gupta, for sharing your experience. It indeed is a very, very emotional topic and very close to your heart, we could tell, because you shared with us details that, we wouldn't really think about as much as a listener. But since you've been experiencing it all, it was altogether a different perspective that was shared with us. Thank you very much for sharing it.
I appreciate the platform, and I appreciate it. I know you have to get to other topics. The one thing I want to leave you with, and to humanize it, is the picture that I shared with you. The girl that you saw in the center is a beautiful lady of 21 years old, my daughter. जब मेरी kidneys fail हुई थी, वो 8 साल की थी. So, think about what it meant as a person, and I was 12 years younger at the time. That girl was in 4th grade. और उसका क्या future होता if I wasn't around? I could not have made it. And that's the reason her mother, my wife, stepped up. If you ask her, and I'm sure you'll invite her as an honorary member for one of the talks, she will admit to you, she saved my life because of this girl in the middle.
Thank you very
much. That's the human aspect of transplantation.
Thank you very much for sharing, Rotarian Sunil Gupta. While we have already had a lot of questions discussed in this segment, moving on with the agenda of the meeting, I would call for zero time for questions and answers.
No, I think we should take Dr. Uday's view for a minute or two.
All right, sure.
Yeah, Dr. Uday, please unmute yourself. Dr. Uday, please unmute.
We can't hear you. I'll just ask you to unmute. 1 second. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Namaste, all, sir. I'm Dr. Uday. I born on 15 Jan 1984 at Gadag district, Gajendragarh. And I completed the diploma in pharmacy 2008, and I completed the BHMS in the 2018. And I'm managing the Shraddha Nursing Home since from 2018, and participated in the 50 health camps across the Karnataka, pre-camps, and worked with the medical officer in the mobile health unit in the remote area, and served during the COVID pandemic during 2020 to 2022, sir. Nice to meet you, sir. And all.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uday. It was great to hear from you.
Ritika, we have some time. If anybody want to ask questions to Mr. Rotarian Sunil Gupta, they can ask, because if I'm sure somebody
might be having questions to us.
Yeah.
You can ask any question if you have. Anybody? Yeah.
I've got a question, Rotarian Ritika.
Yes, Dr. Moses.
Rotarian Sunilji, with you and your siblings, how many of you had this kidney issue? Or how many siblings are you totally?
So yes, I forgot to tell you about my own personal siblings. So मेरे दो बड़े भाई हैं, मैं सबसे youngest हूँ. I am actually 59 years old, And my older brother, my middle brother, also had polycystic kidneys. And one of the great things I want to share with you is about a week and a half ago, 25 दिसंबर को उसको किडनी ट्रांसप्लांट मिला. तो अभी वो रिकवर कर रहा है. तो एंड उससे बड़ा भाई मेरा इज अ डॉक्टर राजीव गुप्ता. तो हम लोग तीन सन्स हैं हमारे पेरेंट्स के. दो में से ये डिजीज आई. सो दिस इज अ डोमिनेंट जेनेटिक डिसऑर्डर. So
exactly. And the reason I asked you this question was because polycystic kidney disease is an autosomal dominant disorder.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you end up having 4 kids, at least 2 will have it.
Yes.
It's a genetic predisposition. You can't do much about it. Correct. I just really pray and hope that your brother recovers very well from this transplant.
Thank you very much. And my brother, and I will bring him and have him, at least join our group. And of course, once you go through this life transformation, you all of a sudden, after I got this transplant, I went in as a hard-kicking technocrat businessman, and I came out with 3 goals in life. And the number 1 goal was service to others. When I saw this happen to myself, एकदम से जैसे कहते हैं ज्ञान चक्षु खुल जाते हैं. And I realized that I got a life extension. When we say gift of life, what does that really mean? It is meant for, like, you have other things unfulfilled in your life. And I shared with you raising my little daughter to this age now. Of course, I feel good about it, but if I can help others, right, in this process, in this journey, and of course, we need to beat this dreadful disease called polycystic kidneys, right? That's also part of my goal. Now, my brother, Nitin, who will come eventually on this platform. He's recovering right now and share his story. And his children, he has two kids. So one out of the 2 kids also has polycystic kidneys, and she is only 30 years old. So this thing goes forward, and part of this awareness campaign is also, I know there's lifestyle issues of diabetes and high blood pressure, which we have to work on trying to minimize and cure and bring down. But the genetic disorders, we need to do something about it in terms of awareness. So, but as I said, this disease has taken, its toll amongst, 3 generations of our family, and continues. And Dr. Rohan, as you were telling everybody, this is a dominant autosomal disease. And when Stanford Medical College invites me for the seminars, the seminar series is called Connecting Patients to medical doctors for tissues and diseases, right? So they talk about us conversation where they actually bring polycystic kidneys so that the people can look at what they look like. So if I were able to actually share some of those images, maybe you can, as a doctor,
I can.
Kind of gruesome looking.
gross, very gross.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Rotarian Sunil. Thank you so much.
Anyone else would like to ask any other question? Otherwise, we are almost towards closing time.
And I know I see Dr. Lakshmi Goyal on the platform as well. And it's been a while since we communicated. And I know in her introduction she had said about how we can bring technology and other things to kind of help this cause and awareness. And there's so much going on in technology. At UCSF, there is an artificial kidney being done with bioreactors and all that. And once that gets successful, and hopefully it will be in the next so many years after clinical trials, that can alleviate the pressure on how many organs we need from living donors or brain dead cadavers.
There's also been talk about 3D printing organs recently. So, hopefully again, that will alleviate having to have living donors. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we contribute. There is an artificial kidney, like they grow out of stem cells as well, the kidneys. They are able to do that. The only problem, Dr. Goyal, is उसमें जो vascular structure होता है kidneys के अंदर का, वो नहीं develop कर पा रहे हैं वो पूरी तरह, right? it just becomes like a blob of kidney, cells. But the glomerulus function and the vascular structure is still not fully being able to function well in artificial organs. जो बन रही हैं, जो printed kidneys हैं या जो stem cells से जो उगाई जा रही हैं. But this research continues, and we don't not only volunteer from our time perspective, but also financially. We try to raise money and things like that for these things, and these things are very expensive from a research standpoint. And then there's जो pigs को जो genetically modify करके उनकी kidneys लगा रहे हैं आजकल, तो वो भी work चल रहा है. Maybe we should contact some specialists to bring some of those guys on to.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rotarian Sunil Gupta, and thank you, Dr. Lakshmi Goyal. Before I will hand over to Rotarian Ritika Gupta, recently, only on the 4th of this month, the Delhi High Court has given the directions, which I have circulated also to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, to see to it जो unrelated transplants हैं वो 3 months के अंदर होने चाहिए. And we are lucky to have advocates in our club, Advocate Ramesh Sharma as well as Advocate Anita Mahapatra, 2 advocates I can see here. So I would like that this week, if both of you can just go through that judgment, the judgment already I have shared, and discuss with me, so that next week, if possible, or in the coming week, we can put up this topic. How it's a long way, and I know that Rotarian Devpal Sharma will agree with me कि हम लोग जब भी कॉन्फ्रेंस करते थे, हम इस बात को बहुत कहते थे कि इतना वेट लिस्ट है इंडिया में और इतना टाइम लेते हैं वो लोग डिसीजन देने में, उसमें पेशेंट्स की भी डेथ हो जाती है. बल्कि डॉक्टर मोनिस, इफ यू रिमेंबर, one of your guest, Miss Shetty has come.
Yes, sir.
And I asked her कितना उन्हें प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी परमिशंस में. But now the High Court has given Delhi High Court has given a direction for 3 months. So, but only thing is that we have to study that judgment thoroughly, and उसको देखना है क्योंकि और भी, because health is a state subject, तो हमें और states में भी इसे implement कराना है. So I request both of our
Mr. Goyal, I have already gone through that judgment. You sent it, and the problem is the directions are very much there. The actual problem is of the implementation of the directions.
So what we will do, Advocate,
so many directions are being passed by the different courts, but they are not being implemented by the government officials. That is the problem.
So there the role of Rotary Club of Organ Donation International comes. Once you will make the judgment very clear to all of us, then we will try to lobby or pressure or use our influences or whatsoever, so that the government will definitely, because it's for the benefit, like Rotarian Sunil Gupta said, in USA, this is a very fixed thing. Timing are very fixed. During that duration, the permission has to be given. Yes, they will check each and everything. We want that checking should be done, but the permission should be given so that people should not suffer. So thank you very much. Over to you, Rotarian Ritika Gupta.
Thank you very much. We are already ahead of time. So just before ending, I request Rotarian Devpal Sharma to please give a vote of thanks.
Unmute kariye.
कर लिए. So thank you very much, Sir Sunil Gupta. We really impressed to hear your topic, and we are now more aware of kidney donation and the disease, and I hope we will continue like this in future. And this judgment thing is very important, and if we'll have a brief on this, then we will definitely pursue with the government and try to do something for the organ donation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rotarian Sharma. Now over to you, Mr. President Rotarian Goyal.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night. Thank you very much.